Hey, family. I wanted to jump on real quick. Y'all know I usually go live on a Tuesday. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm getting ready to do my class, my Unlocking Your Love class. And generally, I like to go live um, because I'm prepped with some stuff that I want to tell them. So I got on because I wanted to, hold on, I want to share this in my group. Hold on, y'all. Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to jump on real quick and I wanted to ask a few questions because a lot of times you don't know the right questions to ask. We don't always know the right questions to ask when we're dating, right? When we're in the process of healing or when we have a potential spouse, right? And one of the things that I want to, and I'm jumping right in because I only got a few minutes and I don't want to be on long. I want to, y'all give me 1 second. Y'all give me 1 second. There you go. There you go. All right, I wanted to send it to two people who inboxed me and said, Kim, let me know when you're going live again. So I wanted to jump in and I want to talk about these questions that you would ask of yourself and you would ask of others. Because I personally think that asking the right questions is everything. Asking the right questions to your potential partner, but first of all to yourself is everything. It's everything. Let me tell you guys that the Emotions Forum, real quick, here I go again with something else. I've been posting a lot today, but I want to get it. The Emotions Forum will be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at Jeremy's Ale House on Woodcliff Avenue in Freeport. I do not know if I am going to be going past September because I have a lot of stuff on my plate. And if I do, I might need to change the night or something in order to make it do what it do. Anyway, we're going to be talking about red flags in relationships, in dating, and what makes a relationship work. And tomorrow night, I think I'm going to do more teaching than I generally do because I want to like really. We're about to close it out because it's getting cold on a mile, and we may have to change locations because I don't do cold weather. Y'all pray for me. I might have to put on a hoodie and a triple fat goose because I get cold really quick and real easy. But I hope that you join us at Jeremy's Ale House on the Nautical Mile. Hey, Yana, I see you, my love. I see you. Whoever else is watching, say hello, say hello. Um, but I really wanted to ask these questions. Last week at the Emotions Forum, we played the dating game. And the dating game was so dope. We had fun. We was asking a lot of questions. It got a little crazy. We were just really having a good time with one another. So I wanted to just talk about that and tell y'all to meet me tomorrow night from 7 to 10. And the topics will be red flags in dating and what makes a relationship work. That's what we're going to be talking about. Um, I wanted to say to you tonight, before you can ask the questions to ask yourself and a potential mate, I really want to get into this because I think it's so dope. One of the questions that you have to ask yourself if you're going to meet someone is you have to figure out what your intentions are for that relationship. And I'm just going to be quite blunt. This is not my style all the time, but I'm going to be quite blunt. Do you just want to be in a relationship where you hit it and quit it? We just see each other on occasion whenever you got an itch that needs to be scratched, right? Or do you want a relationship that's friendship that leads to a serious relationship, and you want to go through the process. Do you know already that you want to be married? What are your intentions? What are your intentions for yourself? What are your intentions for your relationship? How do you see your relationship? Can I tell you? This is the only way that you're going to get to where it is that you want to be. So, what I did was, in addition to setting your intentions, y'all might want to grab a notepad or something and write these questions down, because I want you to ask these questions not just of yourself, but I also want you to ask these questions of your potential partner, right? And let's go. Um, the first one is about healing. Right? Maybe I got the wrong one. Hold on. I might have wrote them down in the wrong order. Um, One of the first questions is, why do I do what I do? Right? Why do I do what I do? We're talking about healing now. Because in order for you to get better at what it is that you want or you desire for your life, in order for you to get to that place, you've got to ask yourself some hard questions. So I wanted to start with the questions that you would ask yourself, right? Hey, Telly Tell, I see you, my love. That's my sissy right there. Okay. What do I do? Why do I do what I do? That's a good question. That's a question to figure out why you do some of the things that you do. If you pop off easy, if you get angry easy, um, if your feelings get hurt easily, if when people go to talk to you, are you frustrated? Are you aggravated? Right? So these are the questions that you may want to ask yourself in a real way. Why do I do what I do? Good and bad, negative. Why do I serve the people that I serve? Why do I take people to work? Why do I say yes when I want to say no? Why do I do what I do? That's the question that you ask yourself. I'm going to get into the dating questions in a minute, but I think that that is important. Why do you do what you do? Right? Another question you can ask yourself in your quiet time: how honest am I being about myself? How honest am I being about myself? Hey, Andrea. Oh, you my love. I see you, sissy. I see you. How honest am I being right now or about myself? Do you tell yourself the truth? And if not, why not? Right? So those are two questions. The first one is, why do I do what I do? And the second one is, how honest am I being with myself about my situation, about my circumstance, about the different things that I go through or have gone through in my life? Am I honest in the ways in which I tell the story to myself? I'll tell y'all something really interesting. It's very interesting. I've been on my lives and I've literally said this to all of y'all for years. My father died when I was 16, 17 years old, right? And for years, the narrative that was playing in my head was that my father abandoned me. And I'm being very transparent with y'all tonight. And that was the narrative that I had in my head for many, many years. And like, I ain't trying to tell my age or nothing, because y'all know, hey, Reeve, I see you, my love. I see you. I'm not trying to tell my age or anything like that, but whatever, right? But for years, I have been telling myself that I was an abandoned child because I felt abandoned because my father passed away, right? The reason why I'm saying this to you is because I really want you to wrap your head around what I'm about to tell you. It was probably about 2 months ago that I stopped for a minute and I heard the Holy Spirit say to me, your father didn't abandon you. And about a week later after that, I'm on the prayer call and we're doing what we're doing, right? And there was a scripture that was read and something that was read on the prayer call. And when it was read to me, it made tears like drop from my eyes. And I realized in that moment that my father never abandoned me. My father died. But the reason why I'm telling you all this story is because my perception of what had taken place in my life up until about a month and a half ago was always skewed. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because, are you honestly telling the story? Are you talking about what actually happened, or are you talking about how something made you feel? Because they're two different things. They are two different things. What actually happened, what is a fact about what happened versus how something made me feel. I felt abandoned, like I felt abandoned when my mother died. I felt like an orphan when my mother died. It was like, oh, it's over. It's over. I have nobody left on this planet that loves me, right? And I felt like an orphan, but I understood that there was something else at work that was greater than me, right? Now, mind you, my father died when I was 16 or 17, so my vision and the way my perception of what was happening around me was completely different. It was just different. It was different. But as I've grown, I still stuck with that narrative and that story. And the question is, how honest are you being with yourself? Some things are facts and some things are feelings. Can we dig a little deeper? Because we're talking about either preparing to be in a great relationship, right? Or, okay, okay, so maybe you may not be at that point yet, but you need to begin to tell the truth to yourself. And that may require that you write these things down and that you go back and you do some of this work on your own, right? And just ask yourself the questions. Are we dealing with feelings or are we dealing with facts? The truth is, the Lord called my father home. That's it. And in my head, the narrative that I continue to tell myself, which was wrong-headed, but I kept that same story going for years, right? For over 30 years, I kept that story going. Why, Kim? And I felt like an abandoned child, but none of that was true, right? And I had to change my perception. My view was skewed of what was happening in my life at the time, right? And so how honest are you really being with yourself is the question. The next one, for healing, what dictates my decision and how has that helped me? Which goes to what I was talking about. What dictates your decisions and how has that helped you? Is it feelings or is it facts? Here's another question you might want to write down. Is it me or them? Or am I refusing to see myself through them? Great question. Here's a really, really, really good question. What do others do that annoys me the most, and what does that reveal about me? I just had a situation I was going through in my neighborhood. Same thing. It's annoying the crap out of me. And I began to ask myself, God, what do you want me to get out of this? What are you trying to teach me? I began to ask that question. Because, sometimes we think it's all about somebody else and what they're doing or what they're not doing, when the truth of the matter is, I'm trying to work out me. I'm trying to become a better version of me. And I need to become a better version of me for me and no one else. Because if I am going to be in right relationship with anybody, my goal is to be a servant in that relationship. Because if I'm not serving, then what am I doing there? I'm certainly not there to just be served. That's all well and good, but I want to be able to pour into my husband the same way he pours into me. I want to give him back whatever he gives me. I want to give it back to him 10 times more. You understand? So if I am going to be on that level, if I'm going to have the relationship that I truly desire and I truly want to have, I have to understand that I'm there to serve. I am not there to be served. But reciprocity, hello, somebody, is always in order in our lives. Even God desires reciprocity. He doesn't charge it to us, but he desires reciprocity. God desires that we would desire him. You understand? So don't ever get it twisted. Reciprocity is always in order. But the question is, who are you being and how are you going to serve and how are you going to show up for your potential partner? right? And that's primarily why a lot of relationships do not work, because there is always somebody in the relationship that's screaming, well, what about me? What about me? What about me? And here's my answer to all of that. If you're married, what about prayer? What about prayer? What about prayer? What about praying for them in the midst of whatever storm is going on that you cannot seem to wrap your head around? If it's annoying you to that degree or it's aggravating you, then the posture that we need to have as women and men is prayer all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Let's get it. Okay? That part. That part. Here are the questions that you would ask when you're dating. Let's get it. These are some really good questions. So y'all might want to jot this down if you single. If you're in a relationship, I'm coming to you next. But if you're single, and you meeting people and you want to go out, the first thing you want to ask them, and I really mean this from the gate, what are your intentions? I just learned that from my cousin. My cousin just told me my cousin just told me that. My cousin said, make sure the intentions are where they're supposed to be. That's the very first thing. That's the very first thing that you want to ask. What are your intentions? What are your plans? You could do that over a meal or over a cup of coffee. It does not matter. You want to ask what the person's intentions are for you or in life, period. What are their goals? And you don't have to ask them like it's a Spanish Inquisition and you ask them 99 million questions. You don't have to do that. You really do not have to do that. You can simply ask that question. What are your intentions? What are your goals? What is it that you want for your life? Right? Got it. You can ask them, how do finances affect your relationships? You can ask them that question. That's a wonderful question, because how people relate to money and how people relate their lives to what it is that they truly desire, right? But if you find out that they're not paying their bills at all, or, you ask the question and you find out they have a bad relationship with money, you can either take up the cause, right, and say, okay, well, I'll help them with that. You don't have to abandon ship just because they don't have a good relationship with money, but you do need to ask some of these questions. And my suggestion would be to ask them this question. You're not asking them how much they make. You're asking them, how do your finances affect our relationship or a relationship, right? You can also ask them, and I love this question, what was the last thing you learned that changed you? You can ask that question. People tell you a lot when they tell you about their lives. They literally like tell you a whole lot about who they are and what they want in life by answering that simple question. It's not deep. It ain't even heavy. It's a simple question. What was the last thing you learned that changed you? And how did it change you? And what are you going to do differently since that happened, or something like that, right? You can ask that question. That's a wonderful question to ask if you're dating. Another question is, what do you secretly wish people knew about you, and why? Why do you want them to know that about you? What do you want? What do you wish people knew about you? You can ask that question and let them elaborate. It'll help them. It'll help you. It'll help you to understand the type of person that you're going out with. Here's another one. How have your parents affected your way of being in a relationship? How did your parents affect the way that you are in relationships? You can ask that question. I don't see no feedback. I see y'all watching. Ain't nobody saying nothing in the chat. But because a lot of times our parents really do affect how we view relationships. My mother, I come from a long line of strong, independent women. And while they were amazing and wonderful to us, all my aunties and everything, The way I saw my mother interact in her relationship affected how I acted in my relationship. And that was until I started following the core tenets of the Bible for my life, right? So, how has your parents, affected your way of being, right? And what experiences have shaped your perspective on relationships? So those are really, really, really good questions. And the reason why you want to ask those questions is because you really want to see where a person is. I remember I was talking to this guy, right? And he kept telling me that his uncle was a pimp, right? And he idolized his uncle. I'm telling y'all right now. I was like, whoa, why does he keep telling me about this uncle who is a pimp? You know what I'm saying? It's funny. Y'all know I am silly, but it made me pause. It gave me pause. Cause I was like, wait a minute, you idolize your uncle who was a pimp. I mean, you can idolize anybody you want to idolize, but he kept talking to me about his uncle being a pimp, and I thought that was hilariously funny, the story. But why did you keep saying? I was like, sir, that's not why I stopped talking to him. But I'm just telling y'all the story because I think it's funny. Who shaped you? What? How did your experiences shape you? How did they shape the woman or the man that you have become? Because that is really, truly important. It's important to understand, right? How different things have shaped you in your life and how they made you who you are, right? You heard me tell my cousin. I see you laugh out loud, girl. You know how I play too much. Oh my God. And let's just say you're in a relationship and you have a wonderful relationship. I remember when me and my ex husband were together and we were raising the kids and we were doing what we were doing. We used to literally sit down at the table. Sometimes we would do it like once every 2 weeks, and we would have what we deemed as the family meeting. And we would just sit down and we would talk with the kids and we would do all of this stuff. And, and I don't know how deep it got. I don't remember. It's been a long time ago. My baby will be 30 something, 32 in December, right? So it's been a long time. But we used to sit down at the table and we used to discuss with the kids what was going on. And I thought that was so necessary that I wanted, us to be, sit down, eat dinner, have a discussion, discuss what needs to be changed, what needs to be done, and how we all can be better, right? It didn't always go so well, but for the most part, it did. And it set a tone in our household, right? So even if you're in a decent relationship at right now and everything is going good, it never hurts to do a check-in. It doesn't hurt to do a check-in once a week, but then there can be times when you're just doing a check-in, like, a real check-in, like, babe, how are you really doing? And you could do that hey, Anita, I see you, my love. All right, my new sister. Okay. Hey, girl, hey. Hey, girl, hey. So you do a check-in with your spouse. You do a check-in with your husband, somebody that you're seriously involved in a relationship with, right? So I remember when we used to do that, and I thought that was always so dope. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna come back to your comment because I can't really read it right this second. But some of the things that you can ask your partner, your husband, what could we achieve together that we can't alone? You could ask them that question. That's very important because you're letting them know when you ask that question of them and they ask it of you, you literally can revitalize your relationship and strengthen it by what comes out of your mouth next. And I'm being very honest. Like when you think about that and you think about the ways in which your partner is assisting you and helping you and how much you love them and what they mean to you and how you make it work, right? How you together make it work, right? Both the husband and the wives. What could we achieve together that we can't alone? Like you guys are doing like major, wonderful, amazing things, right? So the question is, what can you all do together? It will strengthen your relationship, right? If you want to take your relationship higher, understand the value of what your partner brings to you each and every day, right? Um, Another question that you can ask your husband or your potential husband or wife, right, is what do you need to hear from me? What do you need to hear from me? These are for the people who are in the relationship already and y'all are doing amazing, right? But you want to do even better. What do you need to hear from me? It's like getting up in the morning and saying to your partner, to your potential spouse, how can I serve you today? What is it that I can do to make your life better today? Right? And I'm not saying everybody's going to do this. It might even sound corny to some people, but I promise you this, you start doing that in the act of service to your partner, it's a total and complete game changer. I promise you it is. And genuinely mean it and say, I just want to make this day, help you to make your day as best as I possibly can. Right? I just want, that's what I want. I want to show up for you. And it may be something as simple as packing their favorite lunch or something. I don't know, for him or for her. I don't know. But when you ask them, what do you need to hear from me? What soothes you? What is it that I can do in order to serve you, right? Um, when you ask them, what should we do more of and why? What should we do more of for each other? The both of us together. And why? In terms of our relationship, here's another one, and then I'm done. I'm going to come to what you posted, Riva. In terms of our relationship, when do you feel most secure? When do you feel most secure? And give your partner in all of these questions, or your potential partner, or even if you're sitting with yourself and you're trying to process the healing part of all of this, take your time to answer the questions and answer the questions genuinely and honestly, with your partner. Like, people can feel your energy and they can also feel when you're being disingenuous. And so, if you're going to strengthen your relationship or strengthen your own resolve, then one of the key things that you have to do, and I'm being honest, I'm being serious about this, is work on you. Ask God to pour into you. Ask God to do a work in you, right? And then begin to slowly and incrementally change, because nothing happens overnight, right? Everything is a process. So, Riva, I'm coming to your question, to what you wrote, sweetheart. It says, my mom was mother and father to me. My dad passed away when I was 3 years old, but she was so strong. Didn't feel father didn't feel father abandoned, but I think sometimes my life would have been different with a father figure. My mom never brought anyone else into our lives. She might have been dating, but I never know it. I never saw it. Yeah, yeah. How about that? How about that? I think, Riva, for me, uh, even as that narrative was playing in my head over and over and over again, like, it was huge. It was huge because I lived my life, and I probably owe like several people a huge apology, because my attitude was wrapped around the narrative of an abandoned child. I was never abandoned. My father never abandoned me. He passed away, right? And unfortunately, it took me into about a month and a half ago in order for me to really wrap my head around that. But yeah, so it is crazy how things happen, but that's how it happened. And I say, if you guys are watching this on the replay, hit hashtag replay. But I wanted to just say this to you. Sometimes the stories that we tell ourselves and the narratives that we have in our own head do a lot of damage. And I probably, again, I'm sure I owe quite a few people an apology, because my behavior, because of how I felt about myself, being abandoned and all, that's how I saw it, led me to do things and act out and do things in a way that were not conducive for somebody to show up being a loving, caring partner or a loving, caring friend. Hey, Tony, I see you. I didn't see you before, my love. How are you? Right? So, a lot of things, sometimes catapult us into a bad direction, and we have to course correct in our lives. And I'm grateful that I had my little awakening. I'm grateful for that. And I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm processing, right? And every day, and I look forward to it. Like I need it, like I need air to breathe, because if I'm not growing, I'm dying. And so I want to continuously grow. But these questions that I asked tonight in sections, the healing questions, the dating questions, and then, the questions if you're in a relationship or intend to get married. Those questions, I want you guys to like kind of go back and ask yourself these questions, and ask your partner these questions if you're in a relationship right now, because I believe that all of these things can help us to grow and become better partners, better people. Like when we grow, it's only going to enhance our lives and everybody around us lives, right? I hope I said that properly, speaking proper English. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, I got my point. Let me see. What did you say, Reva? You said, but my sister, we have different moms. She's 11 years older than me, but still is angry that I was born. She said she didn't have the relationship with our dad. Listen, I promise there are people walking around here right now to this day. Yana, if you still on, text the class and tell them I'm coming. Um, Real talk, it's a lot of things that people choose. You could have been raised in the same house with her, Reva, I promise, and still she could be that same way. Being angry, being aggravated, being frustrated, being miserable is a personal choice. It really is. That's why, like, if you angry and you carry on too much, I stay away from you because I don't want. Please, if you gossip, if you a gossip, I stay away from you. I promise you, I do, because I don't have time for it. Like I make conscious decisions about how I want my life to look. I'm intentional about that. I'm intentional about who I talk to. I'm intentional about who I spend time with, and I'm also intentional about, and we need about everything that I'm consciously aware of. If I start to see a problem always cropping up in my life with specific individuals or whatever, I'll be like, okay, I gotta dead this relationship because this ain't what I want. I don't want my life to look like that. I want my life to look like elevation. And so I choose elevation every day. But there are some people that, regardless to what they say, regardless to what you say to them about life being amazing and beautiful and da 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 da, they're gonna still stay stuck in there. And I handle them with a long handled spoon because Kim don't want to do it. I'm being honest. Like I want to live a peaceful existence, and nothing outside of me, other than my immediate family, my children, my grandchildren, and all of that. I'm not getting myself involved. And this is, maybe something to take away for somebody else. We really have to make a conscious choice to seek joy, to seek peace, to seek love, to become peace, to be joyful when we're around people. Like what kind of energy do we want to bring to the space? When I walk out my door and people think I talk a lot and I'm always all off the hook. But what people don't know is I'm usually home 80% of the time. And in the 80% of the time, I'm extremely quiet. I'm very quiet, very laid back, just doing whatever it is I'm doing. I choose peace, though. I literally choose peace. I choose peace as an act of my will when I show up in rooms. I'm choosing to love on everybody, hug them and love them up and be good to them. When I come home, I'm just like, like a hydraulic. I just bring it on down, right? My house, you don't hear any noise, anything at all, because I literally want this to be what my life is, peaceful. And so I am intentional about who I let in, who I have discussions with, who, like we have to be. We have to be. If there's no elevation, if we're not going anywhere, whether it's in my personal romantic relationship, of which I do not have right now, but we're working on something. Anyway, that's a whole nother talk show. Y'all know I'm hilarious. You know, we have to be consciously aware of what we want for our lives. And if you miserable, you just gonna be miserable by yourself. Cause I ain't doing it. I used to get on my mother's nerves because I didn't do it intentionally. But when my mom was sick and she was living here with me, sometimes she would wake up angry. And I would come in the room being all, I was the court jester for her. I was always laughing and joking, right? And when she was angry, some morning she would wake up angry and she would be fussy. And, she had a lot, she went through a lot after, she was attacked. She was attacked and almost killed. Y'all understand? And that within itself hurt her, but she was determined to get back up. And that's why I'm so grateful she was my mother, because I saw her strength. But there were days when she woke up and she was angry because he took her eyesight out of one of her eyes. He almost killed her. And even thinking about it hurts me to my heart. But I'm saying this because I used to come in the room and I would be making her breakfast and I'd be like, hey, Ladybug, you want that? And she would be like, and she would be fussing. I said, oh, you upset today? I said, Mommy, what's wrong? And she would, nothing, because she had a lot on her mind. And I would say, okay, well, if you're upset, you're going to be upset by yourself and I'll bring your breakfast in here when it's ready. And I meant that. I wasn't going to let I knew she was hurting, right? I knew she was. But all I can do is try to make her day as bright as I can. And I said, okay, well, when you get finished, I'll be here. I'll come back in here when you want to get some back, right, Jack? Because you acting up. And I would make her breakfast every morning, her lunch, whatever. I miss her. Oh, my God. But my point in saying all of that is this. You get to choose what you want and what you allow in your life. Nobody else gets to choose that for you. You get to say, listen, I want to live a life of peace and happiness and joy. And then just do that. And nobody has to give you permission to want that, or give you permission to have that, right? So many people are just choosing crazy because, they feel justified to lash out, to argue, to fight, to do it. Listen, heard you. Go ahead on with that. I'm like, listen, I ain't got time for that no more. What I want, I am commanding. What I need, I am going after it. I'm praying for it and about it. We don't have time to entertain. And I realize that there are times when we're going to have family members and people who we are close to that we can't just, dismiss. But hey, Ronnie, I see you. Ronnie Moore from the Boogie Down. What's up, baby? I see you. Yeah. No, it's okay, Reva. It's okay that, that you're venting or whatever. But real talk, that is a conscious decision. I'm making a conscious decision. Everybody needs to make a conscious decision about how they want to live their life. And that's how I feel about it. And I'm going to continue to march on and try to find my peace, my joy, and my happiness. That doesn't mean that my life is perfect. That doesn't mean that the people around me are perfect. But if I could talk you off the ledge and we can work something out, great. But if I can't, I can't. And I don't have that kind of power. You got to want to talk yourself off the ledge, baby. You got to not want to be on the ledge at all. That's how I see that. Tony, I'm going to post your comment. Hey, Lori, I see you, sis. For real, Kim, peace is important. Absolutely. Tony says, I have pulled back and in some cases have left them behind. I am not on that frequency anymore. Negative attitude. People are starting commenting that I look great. I attribute it to intentionally choosing. Hello, somebody. Tony, sis, that's my sister from another mister. You better say so, honey. You better say that. Intentionally choosing peace. Intentionally choosing peace. Choosing love intentionally. Intentionally. Because there's nothing you could do about me loving you. But I can stop the flow of the negativity immediately. All I got to do is make a choice about that. and you show up differently. Listen, y'all, I love y'all like cook food. I promise y'all I do. Y'all meet me on the Nautical Mile tomorrow night at Jeremy's Ale House. It is going all the way down at the Emotions Forum. It's going to be dope. And I think I'm going to be doing some teaching tomorrow. I generally do not do that. But I think I'm going to do a little bit of teaching about how we're going to make these relationships work, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about red flags. Um, Listen, God is good. I love y'all like cook food. I got to get to my class. Let me just tell y'all this. I have an Unlocking Your Love class. And I know everybody talks about unlocking your love. They immediately think it's for a relationship. The best relationship you can have is with yourself. And when you have a great relationship within yourself, you attract to yourself amazing and wonderful people who just want to be in your circumference because your energy is beautiful and amazing. Just like Tony said, people can see it and they say crazy radical things like, sis, you glowing. Look, you look good. Oh God, look at you. You look different. There's something different about you. Hey Stephen, how are you? It's good to see you. Yeah, because people begin to see you show up differently because your energy shifts, right? So, unlocking your love is about unlocking you. It's about dealing with some things that are hindering and keeping you from finding the love that you truly desire outside of yourself. Okay, they calling me now. I gotta jump on the class. I love y'all like cook food. Hashtag replay if you're watching this on the replay. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be